Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in less than 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. We'll go ahead and jump right into it. First question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, Sean. Thank you very much for having me here. The way I look at myself is I have about 3 jobs. One, I'm the CEO of PMO Advisory, and I started that in 2012 and built it into one of the most specialized project management consulting and training company. My second job is university professor. I teach at Montclair State University full-time, and I also am a visiting professor at China Europe International Business School, where I normally go teach a class in Shanghai during the summer. This year, as you can imagine, will be live virtual. My third job is a combination of various volunteer global organization, Project Management Institute, International Standard Organization, helping to develop new standards and really advance the field of project management. So that's what I do.
You are a busy guy.
I get around a little bit at times. Yes.
Fantastic. Question number 2, what's the best thing about working with a team?
You know, I think if you're a curious person, if you're a dynamic person, if you're a person that's looking to grow yourself, you know that all of us are limited by what we know. And even the best of us still only have a very small cluster of knowledge. So the best thing about working with team, frankly, is it's just fun. If you want to solve big problems, you're just not going to be able to do all of it. You need to rely on other expertise and people with different background. There are a lot of talented, good people out there. So at the end of the day, the best thing working with a team is learn, have fun, get to meet people. Through them, you get to learn new culture, new fields, and new professions.
I love that. Thank you. Great insights. Question number 3, I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. What are your thoughts?
That's absolutely the case. And this is especially true, I think, since about the Clinton years in the mid-90s, when we, especially the Americans, started pushing for diversity. You know, the cost of diversity, frankly, is difference. I mean, diversity means people from different backgrounds. And when you do have diversity, it's inevitable you have more disagreements and sometimes more conflicts, which is a more viral form, I would say, of disagreements. And so that comes as a part of the package. Therefore, in really working on high complex projects that I'm often involved in, the biggest challenge is working with a very diverse group of people. Now, diversity, of course, has its strength. Once you get it working, it's just fabulous. You get various different ideas. You eliminate groupthink just by having disagreements and fights, so you can't really have groupthink anymore, which often is one of the other big problems in team. And you really get to channel the right energy if you find that way to do so. So I think here later we'll probably talk about some of the techniques to get diversity working. And I think that is going to be really important.
Well, that's great. In fact, why don't we just go ahead and go with that? I mean, what other piece of advice would you give to leaders of teams along those lines?
Yeah, I think in order to work with a diverse team, first is you have to have a uniform set of goals. So create that team vision, whether it is building a new product, solving a world problem, pandemic. To have that uniform vision is by far the most important thing you can do to create a cohesive team. The second is ask the hard question up front. So meaning, for example, what's in it for the core team? What's in it for you? Why are you here? Why do you want to work on this team? Is it money? Is it recognition? Is it one higher visibility in front of your company executive? Let's get out of the way. And as a team leader, to help motivate and grow your people. So when you do have those issues, and not all people's needs and wants actually naturally agree with each other, that's fine. Let's iron that out in the beginning. Ask those tough questions. After you set the vision, iron out those questions, the next is just really working through. Working through problems, try to put politics aside as much as possible. And I know sometimes it's not always possible to do so as a last resort. Be respectful, listen to people's opinion, especially people who you may not agree with. because this becomes ever more important to show your leadership character. And along the way, of course, it is important to admit that you know something. If you made a mistake, if you are making tough choices and you're going to go against the advice of your team, be upfront, admit it, and through one or multiple incidents, especially if you battle with the people outside of your team come to respect you. And I think that's what it takes to run a successful team.
Great information. Really appreciate those points on diversity. Question number 5. What other successful team leaders, such as yourself, would you like to recognize that have had a positive influence in your life?
I think I had the pleasure of working with many, many good bosses in my career. I rate my bosses grade A, B, and C. And to my luck, I very rarely have anybody less than B. One of the good leaders I still am friends with, for example, Jim Schneider from KPMG. He was an executive director, chief technology officer, still a personal friend. He is a great leader because he knows what he doesn't know, and he has the heart to go and use and hire people who knows more than him. And I admire him for that immensely. Another good person is Brian Williamson. He is the executive director of PMO at AVAP. He's one of the most certified person that I know. He has every one of the PMI certification, for example. And plus some. He has a bunch of the ITIL certifications as well. And his latest mountain that he's trying to climb is finish his doctoral in leadership. So another great person.
Wow, those are great individuals indeed. So thank you for sharing them. Final question. Tell us about your first job.
My first job was a technical writer at Nabisco right out of college. I still remember my hiring manager, her name is Janice, and we are still friends to this day. Well, we still get together for lunch, and this is the early 90s. She called me in the middle of me preparing for my final, and her question was so hard, I failed that final, but at least I graduated. I had a lot of fun at Nabisco being a tech writer. You could imagine a 24-year-old being around a plant full of food. I mean, what better heaven can you be, right? Eventually, Nabisco did send me to manage, set up training for the various bakery they're building in Asia. So in 96, 95, 96, I helped Nabisco set up training in parts of China, Indonesia. And again, for a 25-year-old, 26-year-old, that was heavenly, right? You get to travel business class, eating all the foods you want, visiting different culture. And that was just such a great experience.
Well, it sure sounds like it. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you also for being on the podcast. How can people find you?
People could find me. My company website is pmoadvisory.com. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search T-Wu and you'll probably see me. Otherwise, you could email me anytime at twu@pmoadvisory.com.
Great. Thank you again. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can find us on LinkedIn by searching Blue Sky Business Consulting. Thanks so much for joining us and have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.